Imagine a city so powerful, so advanced, that it rivaled the future itself, a place of golden temples, unstoppable armies, and knowledge far beyond its time. And then, in a single night, it was gone, swallowed by the ocean, erased from history. For centuries, explorers have searched for its ruins, scientists have debated its existence, and storytellers have kept its legend alive. Was Atlantis the greatest civilization the world has ever known, or just the greatest myth ever told? Famous historians like Plato, Socrates, and others all left behind clues, but none solved the riddle. So, what did they really believe about Atlantis? Keep watching, because the truth is stranger than the myth. This is the story of Atlantis, a mystery that has haunted humanity for more than 2,000 years. But here's the twist: Atlantis wasn't discovered in an ancient ruin, or written in a forgotten scroll. No. The very first mention of this legendary city came from one man, the Greek philosopher Plato. Around 360 BC, in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, Plato described Atlantis as a mighty island located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar. According to him, Atlantis was no ordinary land. Its armies were vast, its culture rich, and its ambitions limitless. Atlantis even waged war against the known world, threatening Greece itself. But then, suddenly, the gods grew angry. The earth shook, the sea rose, and in Plato's own words, "In a single day and night of misfortune, the island of Atlantis disappeared into the depths of the sea." Now, here's the question that has divided thinkers for centuries: was Plato describing history, or just using myth to teach a lesson? Backhand index pointing right if you believe Atlantis was real, drop a comment saying, Atlantis existed. Backhand index pointing right but if you think it was nothing more than a story, type, just a myth. And remember, this is only the beginning. Because after Plato, other historians and philosophers kept the legend alive. But the deeper we look, the more mysterious, and more dangerous, the truth becomes. After Plato's powerful words, the legend of Atlantis didn't just fade into silence. Instead, it spread, through philosophers, historians, and even travelers who claimed to know something more. Take Herodotus, often called the father of history. While he never directly wrote about Atlantis, his accounts of strange lands and mysterious peoples around the edges of the known world created fertile ground for the myth to grow. To his readers, the idea of a great island civilization beyond the horizon didn't sound impossible, it sounded inevitable. Then came Diodorus Siculus, a Greek historian writing in the 1st century BC. He spoke of distant islands in the Atlantic, describing them as rich, fertile, and inhabited by people who once traded with the known world. Though he never named Atlantis, many believe his words echo Plato's story, hinting that he, too, preserved fragments of a forgotten civilization. Later, in the 5th century AD, the philosopher Proclus defended Plato's story. He wrote that ancient Egyptian priests had spoken of Atlantis long before Plato ever recorded it. According to Proclus, Atlantis wasn't just a Greek fantasy, it was a memory of a world swallowed by catastrophe. But then comes the real twist. Some historians, both ancient and modern, argued that Plato used Atlantis as an allegory, a story meant to symbolize the dangers of greed, corruption, and unchecked power. In this version, Atlantis was never real at all. It was a warning. A lesson dressed as myth. So what do we believe? Was Plato documenting history passed down through Egyptian archives, or was he simply crafting the world's greatest philosophical fable? Backhand index pointing right, what's your take? Do you think these historians were uncovering fragments of truth, or just adding fuel to Plato's imagination? Let us know in the comments. And still, the mystery deepens. Because beyond philosophy and history, explorers and dreamers began chasing Atlantis in the real world. From the sands of Africa to the depths of the Atlantic Ocean, the hunt for the lost city was only beginning. For centuries, Atlantis lived only in the pages of philosophy and whispers of history. But then came the explorers, men who dared to chase the horizon, convinced that Plato's tale pointed to something real. In the Age of Discovery, when Columbus and others sailed into the Atlantic, some believed they were retracing the routes once taken by the Atlanteans themselves. To them, the islands of the Caribbean, the Bahamas, Cuba, even Hispaniola, were not just new worlds, but possible fragments of a much older one. Could the crystal-clear waters of the Caribbean be hiding the ruins of Plato's sunken empire? Old maps only added fuel to the fire. Medieval cartographers sometimes drew strange landmasses far out in the Atlantic Ocean, lands that today don't exist. Sailors told tales of mysterious islands that appeared on the horizon, then vanished into mist. Were these ghostly visions, or the last peaks of a drowned continent? By the 19th century, the Atlantis legend roared back to life. Writers and scholars began to argue, passionately, that Atlantis was not a fable, but a real civilization, destroyed by nature's fury. Some even linked it to the rise of ancient Egypt, claiming that survivors of Atlantis spread their knowledge across the world, building pyramids, inventing languages, and shaping early human culture. It was during this time that Atlantis shifted from a philosopher's story into a worldwide obsession. The idea wasn't just that Atlantis could be real, it was that Atlantis had to be real. Because how else could ancient civilizations, oceans apart, share such striking similarities in architecture, myths, and gods? But here's the chilling part, every new theory seemed to bring more questions than answers. Was Atlantis hidden beneath the Atlantic, or under the sands of the Sahara, or frozen beneath the ice of Antarctica? Backhand index pointing right tell us, if you could explore one place for the lost city, where would you search first, the Caribbean, the Sahara Desert, or Antarctica? Drop your answer in the comments below. And hold on tight, because in the next chapter, we'll dive into the most shocking theories of all, how scientists, mystics, and even conspiracy thinkers tried to rewrite human history with Atlantis at its core. By the 20th century, the story of Atlantis was no longer confined to dusty books or old maps, it had exploded into modern culture. Everyone, from serious scholars to spiritual mystics, wanted a piece of the mystery. One of the most fascinating voices was Edgar Cayce, the so-called sleeping prophet of America. In the 1930s, Cayce claimed that during his trances, he had visions of Atlantis. He described it as a highly advanced civilization that used crystals to harness energy, and predicted that ruins of Atlantis would one day rise again near the Bahamas. His followers believed him completely, and to this day, divers still search the Caribbean waters for evidence of Cayce's prophecy. At the same time, archaeologists and scientists tried to place Atlantis into real geography. Some linked it to the island of Santorini in Greece, destroyed by a massive volcanic eruption. Others pointed to the Azores Islands in the middle of the Atlantic, believing they were mountain peaks left from a sunken continent. And still others argued Atlantis might lie buried beneath the sands of the Sahara Desert, where satellite images show strange shapes that look eerily like lost cities. But it wasn't just scholars who kept Atlantis alive, Hollywood stepped in. Movies, books, and even cartoons began portraying Atlantis as everything from a high-tech utopia to a mystical underwater kingdom. In films, Atlantis was not only real, it was a place of wonder, danger, and impossible beauty. Each adaptation blurred the line between myth and reality, until Atlantis became more than just a lost city, it became a cultural obsession. And here's where the myth takes a darker turn. Some conspiracy theorists claim that Atlantis wasn't destroyed at all, that its survivors still exist, hidden deep beneath the ocean, or even ruling the world in secret. To them, Atlantis wasn't a tragedy, it was the birthplace of secret knowledge, guarded by elites who don't want the truth revealed. Backhand index pointing right, what do you think? If Atlantis really did survive, do you believe its people would use their power to help humanity, or to control it? Let us know in the comments. Because in the next part, we'll unravel the most shocking twist of all, how modern technology, sonar, satellites, and deep-sea exploration, has uncovered mysterious evidence that might finally prove whether Atlantis was real, or forever lost to the sea. For centuries, Atlantis lived only in words, Plato's texts, historians' accounts, and myths passed through generations. But in our modern age, science has begun to search the oceans themselves. And what researchers have found is both fascinating and terrifying. In 1968, divers near the Bahamas stumbled across something astonishing, a stretch of giant stone blocks underwater, perfectly aligned, stretching for hundreds of feet. It became known as the Bimini Road. Was this an ancient harbor? A road built by a forgotten civilization? Or just a natural rock formation? To believers, it was the first real proof that Atlantis might lie beneath the Caribbean waves, exactly where Edgar Cayce had predicted. Satellite technology has also revealed strange patterns on the ocean floor. Off the coast of Africa and Spain, researchers spotted what looked like massive geometric shapes, grids that some claimed could be the ruins of an ancient city. Google Earth images even sparked global headlines, with people insisting they had found Atlantis beneath the sea. Scientists argued these were mapping errors, but the mystery refuses to die. Even more chilling are the stories of the Yonaguni Monument off the coast of Japan, an underwater structure of terraces, steps, and pillars. Mainstream archaeologists say it's natural. Others insist it's proof that advanced civilizations existed thousands of years before history tells us they did. Could Atlantis have been one of them? And then there's Antarctica. Some researchers suggest that under its thick sheets of ice lies a forgotten landmass, one that could have once been Atlantis before a sudden pole shift buried it in ice. It sounds like science fiction, but what if it isn't? Here's the question that no one has ever fully answered: if Atlantis was real, why hasn't it been found? Is it because the ocean has buried it too deep? Or because, perhaps some truths are not meant to be revealed? Drop a comment. Do you think modern technology will one day uncover Atlantis, or will it forever remain hidden beneath the sea? But we're not done yet. Because the real power of Atlantis isn't just in archaeology or myths, it's in the way it continues to shape our imagination, our culture, and maybe even our future. Atlantis is more than just a legend, it's a mirror of human ambition, curiosity, and fear. For over 2,000 years, it has inspired explorers, scientists, mystics, and storytellers. And even today, in an age of satellites and deep-sea robotics, the mystery remains unsolved. Think about it, how many lost civilizations have been rediscovered in our lifetime? The once mythical city of Troy was found in Turkey. The ruins of Pompeii lay hidden under volcanic ash for centuries. Entire cultures we thought were only myths have been uncovered by archaeology. So, why not Atlantis? Conspiracy theorists argue that maybe we have already found it, but the truth is being kept from the public. Some claim governments, even secret organizations, know more than they admit. That the knowledge of Atlantis, its technology, its power, would change the course of humanity if it were revealed. Others say the survivors of Atlantis themselves passed their wisdom into secret societies, quietly guiding history from behind the scenes. It sounds like a Hollywood script, but sometimes, reality is stranger than fiction. And maybe that's the real reason Atlantis has never disappeared from our minds. Because Atlantis isn't just a place, it's a symbol. A reminder that civilizations, no matter how advanced, can fall. That the ocean still hides secrets too vast to imagine. And that somewhere, beneath the waves, a story waits to be told. So we end with one final question. Was Atlantis the greatest civilization that ever lived, or the greatest story ever told? Backhand index pointing right, tell us what you believe in the comments below. Was it a real city lost to the sea, or the most powerful myth in history? And if you enjoyed this journey into mystery and history, don't forget to like this video, share it with friends, and subscribe to the channel, Bygone Bulletin, because there are countless more secrets of the past waiting to be uncovered. The lost city may never rise again, but the legend of Atlantis will never sink.